Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Tuesday, 7th of March, 9th of Adar. Here we go. When it comes to people going to Shul to hear the Megillah, not only are men responsible for going to Shul to hear the Megillah, but ladies are also responsible. Now, some of you are smart and might know that there's a rule called any positive command tied to time, women are exempt from those kind of commands. For example, tefillin, that's a positive command. It's tied to time. It's only a daytime mitzvah. Ladies are exempt from the mitzvah of tefillin. So, Megillah seems like that. It's a positive command. It's not a negative like thou shalt. It's you shall hear the Megillah, so it's a positive command, and it is tied to time. Of course, it's only on Purim day, and yet the rule is that ladies are responsible to hear the Megillah. Also, they are also part of the great miracle. Hence, they are included in the responsibility of hearing the Megillah. So, men and women and children who are able to hear it should be at the Megillah reading to hear it. Other customs that I just want you to know about, and that is that when they get to the part where the 10 sons of Haman are hung, that is read in one breath, if possible. The reader takes a deep breath and reads from a couple of words before all the way through all the 10 names, all in one breath, just to show that God smoothly and in one fell swoop took out the 10 sons of Haman. If inadvertently the reader ended up breathing in between, it doesn't matter. It doesn't ruin the reading of the Megillah. It's a thing that we try to do if possible. When you get to the words Balayla Hahu, Nadada Shanas Hamelach, that's on that night, the king wasn't able to sleep. That's in the story. Achashverosh wasn't able to sleep. He asked them to bring his special book. Haman barged in. Mordechai also ended up coming in. And that's when the whole story pretty much turned around. So that being the turnaround point in the Megillah, that is read in a special celebratory tune because it's such an unbelievable moment. Also, some say that it alludes to God himself. The king couldn't sleep that night. That means that God took himself kind of out of hiding for that night and showed how, without an open miracle, but in a hidden way, showed that he was turning the story around. So that is certainly supposed to be read by the Baal Koreh in a loud and special tune. Again, if he doesn't end up doing it that way, you still fulfill the mitzvah. That's just the better way to do it. When the reader gets to the words Igeras HaPurim Hazos, which means this Purim letter, so he's supposed to actually shake or wave the Purim, the Megillah, when he gets to that part of it, because it's this, the Megillah, that he's referring to. If you are reading out of a Chumash, and you don't have a proper parchment Megillah to be reading out of, then do not read all of the words along with the Chazan, because that could get in the way of you fulfilling the mitzvah, because you need to be hearing it from the Chazan. You should say the few words, if there are a few words that you miss here and there, you should say them out of your Chumash or printed thing that you're reading from. But generally, otherwise, you should remain silent so that you could hear it from the parchment read Megillah that the reader is reading out of for you. Um, if the Baal Koreh, the reader, already fulfilled his mitzvah in the shul, and now he's going home to some, let's say, old man's house where the old man couldn't get to shul, and he's going to read it there for that man at his house, the Baal Koreh, the reader, really, in a perfect situation, doesn't make the brachos again because he already made the brachos when he was in shul. So the listener should make the brachos for himself, and then the reader reads them for the listener. Bringing the Megillah to Shul. Now this year, the Megillah reading is going to be right after Shabbos, and bringing the Megillah to Shul, even if you have an Eruv, you shouldn't be carrying it on Shabbos, because that's preparing on Shabbos for after Shabbos, which is a no-no. So don't carry the Megillah to Shul on Shabbos in preparation for after Shabbos. That's considered improper. And believe it or not, if the person who's reading the Megillah for the congregation does not know how to do the tune, of course, there's a tune and there's special, nikudos and the ways that all the words are pronounced. Of course, the Baal Koreh should study it and know that perfectly if possible. But if it happens that you're in a place where the reader for the congregation, there is no reader that knows how to read it with the tune well, then if you're in an emergency situation like that, you are allowed to put little signals here and there in the Megillah to remind you about how to read important words so that they're not read wrong. We don't suggest that in the lechatchila format. In other words, it's not a good way to plan to do things, but if you're desperate and it's an emergency situation, you can put little marks in the Megillah to help you know how to read important words correctly, words that you don't want to make mistakes and read them all wrong. Thanks for logging on, and log on again tomorrow for more. Bye bye.